They don't tell me he was in the audience before, but I came in and everyone was being really weird. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like, Jerry's here. And they didn't say Seinfeld. They were like, Jerry's here. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, house seats? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, great. So he's in the 5th row.
Right.
And everyone's wearing masks at that point. And so I kept trying not to look at him. I would look at the crowd like, and then, but also I remember he's sitting there and I kept thinking like, how did they kill Lincoln? Because the whole audience is watching him. And I'm like, when Lincoln was there, wasn't the whole audience like how good was Our American Cousin that people are like,
well, he took the balcony seat. That was a mistake.
Yeah, but he's overlooking the thing though. I'm sure they were just like, there's fucking Lincoln. But they said, he's not going to say hi. I'm like, totally fine. Yeah. I'm upstairs and they go, he wants to say hello. And I'm like, okay.
It's Breaking Bread.
And I have a place to hide my cappuccino.
You can keep it out.
Okay,
It's a bread podcast.
Do you have a favorite?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, bud. Do you have a favorite bread?
Well, other than my bread that I bake?
Yes.
Yeah. Tartine.
Really?
Bub and Grandma's.
Both good places.
Really great. Lodge Bread in LA.
I've not had Lodge Bread.
We'd like them.
Tartine is really good.
It's really good. And, they were like the first ones on the block. And a lot of people, they kind of kicked open this whole artisanal bread thing. And other people came, but they're still like the top.
I don't eat a ton of it. It has to be really good. It's got to be worth it to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm sadly one of those guys where I'm like, my metabolism slowed down a little, I'm now like sort of making certain hedges. Like I never have soda ever. Never ever have soda. No. Unless it's like handcrafted or they're like, we make our own. I'm like, well, then I must.
What about like a diet or a zero?
Never. I don't think I've ever had any diet soda besides Diet Coke, and I don't like Diet Coke. I prefer, and I don't drink regular Coke. I'll drink Mexican Coke occasionally with a sugar
Right,
cane.
with the regular sugar.
By the way, Trump a couple of months, or maybe last year, he was like, why don't we have like Mexican Coke with real sugar? And I was like, oh my God, I found my first thing that I agree with Donald Trump on. I'm like, yes, get rid of this high fructose corn syrup bullshit. And give us Mexican Coke.
You just had to hang out long enough. Yeah. And you find something so that's what it is. Reaching across the aisle.
He does 5 hours of riffing. And he's like, immigrants bad, guns good. And I'm like, no. And then when he makes his way down to the bottom of this, he's like, I like ficus plants and also Mexican Coke. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay.
And keep your shoes on going through security.
Yes.
He's my guy.
I was like, wow, if you ignore all the global politics stuff, he's actually
he's my man. But when I watch you, I honestly think, and this is true, I honestly, besides your comedy, whatever, I think this is a guy, this SOB can eat as much bread and sugar as he wants. Look at how thin, skinny. Not skinny not skinny trouble, like skinny, like he'll look good in a suit.
I genuinely think I burn calories by being like anxious. I think my body is never at a resting state. I think when I'm asleep, my body's like, like once I did that thing. My girlfriend is a scale, and I weighed myself, and I was like, 175 or something like that. And then I went to bed, and I woke up, and out of curiosity. Because I don't have a scale in my house.
Yeah.
I weighed myself again, and I was 172. And I'm like, I lost 3 pounds sleeping? Like, what was I doing? And my girlfriend's like, oh, you were digesting. And I was like, no, I think I was fretting about something.
I was really worried.
Like, I think in my dreams, I was like,
Just panic.
I think I was upset.
My wife and I just had a flight. She hates to fly. Mm-hmm. And we got off the flight. She's like, do you feel fine right now? I said, yeah, I feel good. It was like from LA to New York. And I said, yeah, I feel okay, And she's like, I'm exhausted. I'm just a wreck. And she slowly realizes what you're saying. she's in a panic for 6 hours on the flight. Her heart rate's going. She's
Oh my
gripping things.
God.
Anytime there's a little, she's like grabbing me during any turbulence.
Really?
Yeah, and she's completely. I think your body can wear out that way.
I was on a plane from like Seattle to somewhere in Texas, and there was a woman sitting next to me, and we're about to take off, and I noticed she's like muttering to herself, and I'm like, oh no, I'm sat next to that crazy person, and I'm like, miss, and she's not paying attention to me, and I lean over, and she's like, Hail Mary, full of grace, like she's like saying Hail Marys, or like, you know, like, and I was like, miss, are you okay? And she's like, she's well-dressed woman in her like 40s. She's like, this is my like third time on a plane.
Whoa.
And I'm like, do you want someone to hold your hand during takeoff? And she went, would you mind? Like, this is not like a,
That was
like a
big
business lady.
That was a big ask.
And so I'm like holding this woman's hand, and the plane was like, it was like a weirdly rocky takeoff. And I was like,
yeah.
And she's like, oh my God. And part of me was like, I'm actually freaking out a little bit too. Like,
You start gripping her hand.
Well, I'm like, wait, is she onto something? Like, I'm like, are we gonna go down? Like, is this actually gonna happen? And like, when we landed, she went like this. And I was like, you know, and we had a smooth landing. And I'm not kidding. When the plane landed, if everybody claps, it's fine. But she was just like, like she was so grateful that we didn't die
Thank
up there.
you, Mary.
It was really interesting. Like, some people are terrified of flying and it makes sense. Like, flying, we should crash every time.
If you don't do it that often, you realize it seems kind of scary. When you do it a lot, you're like, there's thousands and thousands of flights every single day.
I was trying to talk her through that. I was like, do you notice? Because our gate, you know, SeaTac is a big airport. And I was like, just so you know, I was like, do you notice that like we're flying in the late morning?
Yeah.
I was like, that gate's gonna have like 7 flights on it throughout the day.
Right.
I was like, and there are like hundreds of gates. And like, or dozens of gates in our terminal. I'm like, if you just do the math, I'm like, it's just really, I said to her, I was like, have you been that lucky in your life? I was like, you're that lucky that you're going to die in a plane crash? I was trying to joke, but it was not.
She's like, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. The
Our Father art in heaven.
The religious one that kind of freaks me out a little bit when you're at the gate, especially like in Newark, a little JFK, is when you have the Hasidim with the blocks on their head.
Tefillin. I wear those. I wear those in my private life.
What are they called?
They're called tefillin. They're in English. They're called phylacteries, which sounds like something. It sounds like a condom.
Yeah.
But yeah, at Newark when they're flying, you know, if you're near a gate that's going to Israel or something, you'll see just like. They're just like
a lot of
gaggle.
rocking, a lot of black cubes on the head, and anything you don't understand, you just get a little freaked out by.
So I do that, but I don't love doing it. I don't love doing it in public, but I do it. And once I was flying in I was in New Orleans, and I'm putting my tefillin on in like a corner because Jews have to do it during a certain time of day, in the mornings, and I'm doing it in the corner.
Mornings.
And this security guard comes over to me like a TSA agent, and he's like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "You're not gonna shoot up right here," because there are little ropes attached to them,
right?
And you have to. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "You're not gonna like," because I look like you look like you're tying it off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not."
Like you got through security with it.
Yeah. But I think that was his question. He was like, what do you have on? You know, like,
yeah, what are you doing?
Where's your syringe? Because you're sitting at your gate. But I look up and everyone's looking at me like, you know, what's he doing?
They're like, he's so skinny, he could probably eat so much bread.
Yeah, I can eat so much bread.
The bread I gave you is from Bread's Bakery.
Can I pull it out?
You can do whatever you want to do.
Will you partake in this as well?
I couldn't bring it home. I mean, if you want to eat it, go ahead. No, I'm good. I normally bake bread for my guests, but I'm traveling. I'm on the road. When we're in LA together, I'll give it to you.
I'm serious, Tom. I'd really love that. I love, I'm not kidding. My friend Genji Kohan is a really brilliant TV writer, and she's one of those people that sort of takes care of herself. Mm-hmm. And so Genji was at her nutritionist's office, and the nutritionist is walking her through what she can eat.
Yeah.
And the nutritionist is like, no X, no Y, but you're allowed to eat this and this and this and anything made with love. And she's like, keeps going. And Genji was like, I'm sorry. Like, this is not a woo-woo nutritionist. She's like a regular nutritionist. And the nutritionist is like, yeah, anything made with love. And Genji's like, okay, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? She's like, if something is made with love, it will like be fine for you. And Genji's like, I'm not following. And she's like, if they're putting real ingredients in it, and like they're actually making something that's like, you know, it will be like slightly less processed. It'll be slightly less. So like, there was a scientific reason for it. Yeah. And she's like, anything made with care, go for it. Yeah. And so like, I love to like I said, I will never ever drink soda. Right. Unless someone's like, hey, we make our own soda. Then I'm like, bring me the soda. You know, like if you're making your own soda, 1,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started baking bread, I have a lot of people in my life that were gluten intolerant, you know, not like real celiac, but, you know, and they were able to eat my bread. And I really was, and without being a nutritionist, I was like, yeah, it's because I care about you and I made this bread for you and it's not going to hurt you.
I believe that. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not very woo-woo, but I totally believe that. Like, I have a hobby. I make ceramics.
Oh, yeah?
I make pottery. I'm not great at it.
Are you gunning for Seth Rogen?
You know, Seth, I like got a chance to like make some stuff with him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
He's amazing. He's a truly amazing. And by the way, like pottery, you know, like whenever I'm on the road, sometimes people know I make pottery, so I'll get like invitations from people to go to their studios, and sometimes they do.
Nice.
And like, not like you can tell a lot from a person from how they behave when you're making pottery with them, but like Seth is very. It's a thing where you're kind of thinking, but you're also kind of instinctive. And so like watching Seth Rogen, I'm like, oh, this guy, I get why he's like a brilliant comedian. Right. Like he's just like, there's something, his mind hand connection is very like, very effortless. And it's not like he's been doing it his whole life. I think he's only been doing it like 5-6 years. I think it's a pandemic thing. But it's a really fun. Yeah. I picked it up, and my friend Ellie Sheva got me into it in like 2023. And I really, I love it. It's like a really nice little hobby.
Can you make me something now that I gave you bread?
Sure. I'm happy to, you know, I make, but the problem is my stuff's like okay. And so sometimes I give, like I did like the Today Show or something, and I brought pottery for all of the hosts. Yeah. And I could see them be like, oh, wow. No, it's good.
Like when your kid makes something in art class.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. I was thinking of that analogy. It looked like, oh, my son made a pencil holder. Isn't it great? It's so great.
Oh, it's not a pencil holder? It's a dinosaur? Oh, I love dinosaurs.
So clever. Oh, those are the arms. That's really good. And so watching Al Roker be like, no, I'm gonna use this. I'm like, fuck, because I worked hard on these things.
There is a great thing whenever I post baking bread. It's just, and people always talk about that thing with like the pottery thing, your hands, just like the evolution from when I first started, it was all sticking to my hands and it was like this really tough, and now it's just become this effortless thing. It's such a bizarre process, isn't it? That your brain can literally get good at something that affects matter outside of you.
Totally. It's and really so you need effortlessly now, pretty much, just like.
Oh yeah, it's just completely.
My roommate is a chef and an expert baker. One of the best.
You have a roommate?
I have two.
You have two roommates?
I have two roommates. Well, we live in an apartment together. Me and my friends Benj and Jake. It's Benj's apartment. We are his tenants,
right?
But
why do you still live with roommates? You're like this big superstar.
You
just love them.
It's you know, I don't know that I've told this story publicly, but I don't think it's too much of a bombshell. But a couple years ago. I lived alone. I lived alone on the east side, Upper East Side. But I had a loss.
Your director?
My director died.
And friend.
Yeah, my best friend. And Benj kind of showed up at my apartment essentially and was like, hey, you're going to move in with me because I'm really worried about I'm worried about you because I was about to start on Broadway and I just lost the guy who directed my show and was my closest pal. And he was like, yeah, I'm really concerned. I'm concerned that you will, that you won't be able to make it through this without. And he was like, pack a bag and come stay with me during your Broadway run. And
Wow.
I just kind of never left. And,
Wow.
and Jake also, Jake was going through something and Benj was like, you should move into this other room. And so now we have this Benj is a brilliant songwriter. He wrote all the music for like La La Land and Dear Evan Hansen and Greatest Showman. He's like,
Jeez.
he's an EGOT. Like he's a super, and Jake himself, Jake's got a book coming out called Dinner Party Animal, but his name's Jake Cohen and he writes cookbooks.
Oh, wow.
But like can cook everything in the cookbook, these beautiful New York Times bestselling cookbooks. And so like we did Drew Barrymore together, Jake and I the other day, which is like such a nice thing to like get in the car together from the apartment and but he's a doll and
what a killer crew.
It's so fun. It's like
so great.
It's like instant community. Like you wake up, you work out together in the building's gym, and then you come down. Like that's what I did today. I woke up, I worked out. And I was like, I gotta leave 15 minutes early. I'm going to Sirius XM, and like they're giving me shit, and it's like it's a really perfect situation. We have these meals. Jake will cook, and like it's one of the like. I can't believe I'm living like this in my 30s, but it really works.
It's beautiful. Were they right? Was he right that if you had been alone, it would have been a different thing?
Yeah, I think he is actually. I think it would have been hard. I think I don't know that I could have.
I didn't realize it was right before the Broadway run.
2 weeks.
What?
It was brutal, man.
I thought it was after all of that.
No, that's part of the sad.
That's
it's part
terrible.
of the. It's part of the sadness of it in the sense that like I made this thing with this guy who was my best friend, and we were close in the years leading up to it, but we got really, really close in the process of making the show.
Right.
And every time, for those of you who are listening or watching, I did this show called Just for Us, and it was a solo show, and it started off Broadway in like beginning of 2022, and went through 2023 sort of off Broadway and around. It was in London, it was in DC, it was in various places. Well, yeah, so then it went to Broadway in 2023, and then in 2024 HBO put it up as a special, and it did really well as a special and a solo show. And my director died right before we started on Broadway, so he never sort of got to see it in its most salubrious state.
Forgive me for not knowing this, but
go ahead.
Was he ill or was it just a shock?
He had stroke. So he was here
out of nowhere.
He was here and then he wasn't. But
those are the weird. We just had a friend like that, and it feels like they've been body snatched. It feels like an alien came down and scooped them up, and you're just like, wait, they're not gonna pick up when I call?
I think, and I had just gotten really close with this guy over the course of making the show, and this thing, frankly, I think one of the reasons the show is really successful is because I had so much joy doing it with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is I ended it because I couldn't imagine, there's more commercial appetite for it, but I couldn't keep doing it without this guy there as a part of it. The funny thing is a lot of people like stepped up for me in really big ways that I didn't anticipate. Mike Birbiglia was who doesn't give you warm and cuddly as his first, like no one looks at Mike Birbiglia and thinks like, what a cuddly teddy bear of a guy.
I don't know. There's a little bit of Winnie the Pooh in there.
He really showed up. I don't think people know how warm he can be is what I mean. Like, and he was very, and I had a director named Alex Timbers who was very good. Who's like a, tough challenge for a guy to like step into the shoes of a dead person because I needed help. So like, but you know what? All these people sort of helped me. So it's a very like, I feel a little bit like, I don't know. Everyone just kind of stepped up. It was like a lot of people did in like small ways, big ways.
Yeah, man, what a crazy period of your life. I mean, to be going through these great accomplishments and these great loss all at the same time is It's a headbanger.
I imagine, I sometimes say people, like, I tell people it's like, imagine you wrote a song with somebody and you were in like a sort of shitty garage band and you got to tour all around and, you know, it was you and like another guy and you were part of a duo and you did this song and you play these shows and then that person died and the song went on the radio and it went to #1 and you had to keep doing the song.
Right.
Like that's how because people were like, "Oh my God, I love that song." And I'm like, I wrote it with my buddy, you know?
Yeah. How much the show was so brilliant. And I mean, it was so brilliant because of the writing. It was so brilliant because of the performing, the subject. I mean, it was a real reason why it resonated with so many people. How much did he influence and change the show that you had in your head?
Oh, huge. I mean,
like, and what parts were the most?
I mean, there are parts he didn't touch that he still had big, you know. I would say that my biggest influences are like, oh my God, I'm about to reference something that without just remembering, you're in the trailer for this, Comedian. The documentary Comedian. Like that documentary made me want to be a comic. And I think I got this idea in my head that eventually you sort of battle test your bits in conversation with other people and they tell you why it works or doesn't work.
Right.
And so like Adam was the person I did that with all my bits with. So I'd be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And be like, you know, I remember he specifically, again, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but I had a joke in there. I had a joke in my special, or I had a joke in my show.
Yeah.
And Adam went, "Just so you know, the joke gets a big laugh, but the audience is like a little disappointed in you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I mean, it's a laugh, but it's a laugh of like shock." He's like, "They're laughing because you're like basically like invoking Jeffrey Epstein or something like that." And he's like, "So you can do it. It'll get a laugh." And he's like, in most audiences won't think less of you. He's like, but there'll be some people who'll be like, "Yeah, that guy kind of sucks." And he's like, "So you should lose the joke." And I'm like, "Gets a really big laugh." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's sort of like the wrong kind of laugh." And I was like, so Adam had that instinct.
Oh man, to have someone like that just on your little shoulder as you go through. I mean, because nobody really would share that with you. Other comics probably wouldn't.
Also, other comics wouldn't know because they do that shit too.
Yeah, right.
Other comics really like.
Yeah.
There's a short list of comics that actually you're on, but like who know a joke gets a laugh, but it's not. Doesn't mean it's a good joke or it's done. I'm sure you've jettisoned many jokes where you're like, it's getting laughs, but I can't get it right.
Yeah.
Like I do that all the time. There's a joke or I'll look back at jokes I used to do and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know, like it's not funny. Like joke got a laugh. It's not funny.
Yeah, I muscled it through, but it's not really there.
Yeah, I gave it some tricks, but it's a fake.
Right.
It's like
a fake.
it's like
yeah.
It's like when the alien from American Dad is wearing drag or something like that.
Right.
Like that's not a real lady, you know. Like it's something. But yeah, Adam was great at that, and you know, Birbiglia was pretty brilliant at it also.
Yeah, I how much did Mike shepherd it?
Mike gave like 7 notes, but they were all like huge notes. Do you know what I mean? Mike was like, I think the spine of this is wrong. And I'd be like, fuck, you know?
Right.
Mike could be like, but you know, my jokes, like the best part of that show was I did it off Broadway for so long that brilliant comedians, I got a tag from Steve Martin. Wow. Jerry gave me a sort of similar thing. I really had to press him. But he was so brilliant about it, and he eventually gave me a note. Billy Crystal was the one who said you should move from a handheld to a headset, and I was like, I really don't want to do that. And he was like, trust me. He's like, it's not. You're not giving something away. He's like, some shows are for this, and some shows are for this. This show is for this. I promise you.
I clocked it. I remember because that is for a comedian that always works like this.
I always work like this.
It's a big deal to like.
I've
wait
never
a minute.
worked like this before in my entire fucking life.
But it really did make sense because the way you
Embodying
move
the
and stuff
characters.
is it was so yeah.
Other I do think that like I always give credit for the jokes that people like help me with or give me tags to. There's a comic named Nick Callis who is sort of a really smart young like New York, New Jersey comic who works the cellar, but is still sort of like an up and comer and really funny. He gave me one of the best lines in the special, which is it's in the meeting and it's contextual, but like I mentioned it's one of the best lines in the show, and I mentioned it to someone, and they were like, "Do you want us to keep that in?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Do you want us to keep that in the interview?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fun." Like,
yeah, of course.
This idea that comedians, I come up with all of my own material, but like the best bit of this is part of the dialogue with Sharpen.
Oh God, I never understand when people are like hesitant when they come up to you after, and they're like, "I don't know, like do you take lines?
I want them.
Yeah, give me everything you got." What do you mean it took Jerry a while?
Jerry, you know Jerry well, obviously. Jerry is like Jerry, and by the way, now Jessica, his wife, are very like big presences to me. I think of them as really towering intellects. And like I said, comedian is why I became a comic. And so Jerry came to the show, and I knew they don't tell me he was in the audience before, but I came in and everyone was being really weird. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like, Jerry's here. And they didn't say Seinfeld. They were like, Jerry's here. And I was like, fuck. And I'm like, house seats? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, great. So he's in the 5th row.
Right.
And everyone's wearing masks at that point. And so I kept trying not to look at him. I would look at the crowd like,
the worst.
and then, but also I remember he's sitting there and I kept thinking like, how did they kill Lincoln? Because the whole audience is watching him. And I'm like, when Lincoln was there, wasn't the whole audience like how good was Our American Cousin that people are like,
well, he took the balcony seat. That was the mistake.
Yeah, but he's overlooking the thing though. I'm sure they were just like, there's fucking Lincoln. But after they said he's not going to say hi. I'm like, totally fine. Yeah. I'm upstairs and they go, he wants to say hello. And I'm like, okay. And so I go downstairs and he was like, I really enjoyed that. I'm like, thank you. Because like, I'm actually terrified. And I realized, by the way, when I'm down there, like Jessica's down there too. And my mom cooks from her cookbooks and like, I'm like intimidated by them both. Yeah, and I was sort of unprepared by how intimidated I'd be by Jessica, who's very nice.
Yeah.
But still like to me, like,
yeah,
I don't know. And I'm like, well, what didn't you like? And my producer, whoever was with me, like snorted laugh at it. I'm like, oh my God, like classic.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, I enjoyed
question.
it. And I was like, yeah, but you're going to get in the car and you're going to look at Jessica and be like, that was good, but. And he went, okay, I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah, that's great.
And he told me, he's like, there's a joke in the show where you address the response the audience gives it. And when you do that, it takes me out of the show. Because I was saying to the audience that I say to the audience, the joke would always get a little bit of like, ooh. And I go, that joke is the same reaction every night. I'm not cutting it. And then people would laugh. And it's because I hadn't figured out the right way to like, sometimes a joke, there's funny in there, but you haven't figured out a way to like turn the spigot and release the pressure that gives it the punchline.
Yeah.
And so that was how I was doing it. And Jerry's like, it takes me, he's like, I know you've told the jokes before. They know you've told the jokes before, but you're taking them out of the show. Don't do it. He's like, and it's a thing. He's like, I don't know. I see it all the time in younger comics. It's not a good instinct.
Right.
And he's right.
Yeah.
He's really, really right.
He's a real technician with those parts of it. When comedians say, all right, I got to get going. all right, I got to get it right, like in a showcase, like at the Cellar, at the end of the set. They're like, all right, I got to get out of here. So I was like, where are you going?
Yeah, of course.
Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that in your set?
Yeah.
you don't care? You don't care about being here? Like just that small little tiny minutia.
I've never been a comic who pretends they're laissez-faire about the stuff.
Right.
And because that's not me.
Yeah.
And the comics that take big pauses in between jokes or something like that, like also not me. Like my real, I started desperate for stage time. I'm still desperate for stage time.
Right, exactly.
I still can't believe I get to do stand-up comedy and get paid money for it. So I've never done that. But not only, but I remember saying that to Adam. I was like, this is what Seinfeld said. He said, why don't you go through the show and see if there are any other jokes that reflect that ethos that you don't like. And I did. So I scalloped other stuff off and some people are, it's a really great, also I think I started doing stand-up comedy to feel less alone. And so the idea
How old were you when you were knocking around the Cellar?
Like 16, 17 watching, but like I was there through college and like,
right. That's when I first met you, when you were just banging around as an eager kid.
Yeah. And by the way, I always remember who was sort of nicer to me when I was an eager kid, which was like a really, and also now I think I've got a lot more patience for eager kids because I was, even though sometimes I hate them more because they remind me of my annoying young self and annoying current self. But like some comics always didn't like the eagerness, which is fair. But like I just always loved stand-up. It's what I wanted. I wanted to do it so badly.
Was I nice to you?
Yep. You were nice to me. You were very like, but you were always very like, it's mostly comics who have a deep lack who I think see eagerness and it annoys them. I get a little bit annoyed, but when I get a little bit annoyed, I'm like, that's my own sense of lack or my own desire to return to being a young person and maybe do everything over just a little bit different.
Yeah. But it was also so unique. You were the only 17-year-old kid just showing up at the Cellar and like, hey, I want to talk to you guys. And hey, can you? So it was like, but there's no annoyance in that. This is somebody who.
But I didn't audition at the Cellar until I was, like 33.
Right, exactly.
I was like, from the ages of like 18 to 33, I would just like, and then Esty one day was like, this is ridiculous. You're auditioning next Friday. This is so stupid. I think Birbiglia said to her, like, come on, it's time. But I never wanted to.
Where were you working during that time?
I do clubs, just nights in Brooklyn, and also England. I was in England for a long time because the truth is, even though I do love the Cellar more than anywhere else on the planet, if my bank password hint was favorite place on earth, it would be the Cellar or Fenway Park.
Right.
But like, I was always a long form comic. I've always loved comics who can work long form stuff, or comics who like can put out albums and specials. I think last time I saw you, or second last time I saw you, was like bothering you about some like joke I had heard on the special, and you told me that like you had done a gig for Clint Eastwood and he also liked that specific joke.
Yeah.
Like I really, really like I like comics who've got a lot to say, or comics who have a little to say but really draw on it. And I think that like I worry sometimes that we're being asked to produce like journalism in the form of stand-up. Do you know what I mean? Where we're asked to make our material so outputtable that, the phrase special implies a little bit of a newness. And rarity.
And that the thing as a whole is a thing.
1,000%.
I remember I was backstage at the Comedy Store, and I was talking to a comic, and they were going off about their special, and that it's taking them a while, and they're just kind of like anxiety about releasing something. And one of the other comics said, "Well, who really cares? You're just going to chop it up into little clips and put it on social media." And she was like, "I don't want to do that. I
don't want to do that either.
I don't want to do that. That's not why." It was. She was so crestfallen. She was just like in shock. Like, that's not what I'm doing here.
No, I'm team long form, baby.
Yeah.
Also, things are meant to be in the same way that musicians who are, I'm going to say real musicians in air quotes, because there's no such thing as a real comedian or real musician. You either do it or you don't. In the same way that real musicians sometimes bemoan the loss of interest in albums, like, I mean, albums are a complete unit of work, and I think it makes the individual stuff better. Not that even that you have to listen to them in context, but like I was reading some, my worst time suck is Wikipedia rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah?
I was reading last night about Baba O'Reilly, you know, the song, or Teenage Wasteland or whatever. And none of these Who songs charted that well. Like, not a single one of them was like a #1 hit, even though they're these crazy, enduring songs.
Yeah.
And they were all like either part of, most of them were, most of their hits were either part of Tommy, which was their rock opera. And they were trying to make a follow-up to Tommy that fell through called Lifehouse. And it never got made. But it spawned Behind Blue Eyes, and I think Baba O'Reilly, and you know, one of their other like big hits. And I think that like, even though the whole piece itself never got released, the songs being written as an ambition of getting at something bigger really does something to those sons. So like, I like the idea that you're aspiring to something big, and these jokes are little parts of it.
Right. If that's the after, once it's given to the people and they want to chop it up and make it smaller, and hey, have you seen this part of it or that part of it? That's fine, but that's not your intent as the
1000%
creator.
And same thing as writing for a television show. You have to write. You know, you got to write in chunks for this thing.
Congratulations on the paper.
Thanks, bud.
Which for our listeners, I'm sure they know by now because it's on every bus and subway.
Not weird how it's on every bus.
It's on every bus. This is the new iteration of the legacy of The Office. It's that form is so great. That form is such a cool, watchable. If you've got good characters and good writing, that it's as soon as I watched the pilot, I was like, oh, we're back in here. Isn't
that great?
This is so great. And you have a part in. You're also writing on it. It's going to be a hit. It's going to be around for a long time.
I hope so. And,
but your part is, I love your character.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot. Which is so funny.
He's an idiot, baby.
Which is so funny. And the question is, who cast you as the idiot? Did you come up with the idiot?
Because I came up with the idiot.
Your thing is as a comic, you're so articulate and you have all this insight. And on the show, you're just like, so dumb.
You know, my favorite joke in the show, you don't even see my favorite joke of mine in the show, you don't even see my face for. It's so dumb. There's a joke. And by the way, I said it as a little bit of improv, and I can't believe they left it in. But again, you don't see my face. There's Ned Sampson, who's Donald Gleason's character, who plays sort of the editor of this failing newspaper.
Yeah.
He's showing the new reporters the headlines of the day. And he's trying to give them examples of iconic headlines. So he's like, Armstrong walked on the moon. And then he shows them one that says, Salk cures polio. And my character goes, well, that's good news. And it's like, he doesn't know. By the way, and the funny thing is, Salk never cured polio. It came with a vaccine. But it's like really, really funny that his character is like, oh, well, you know, oh my God, we cured polio. It's amazing. And the truth is, you know, or Shepard walks on the moon. There was a part of me that wanted to do the line then. I'm like, I think it's funnier after Salk cures polio. But yeah, my character, I came on board as a you know, I auditioned. And I don't audition much because I'm sure like you, like, I love to act. I do want to act. Yeah. And like, you've been in some really cool stuff, but you're also not like, you know,
I'm not chasing that so much.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But like,
I like seeing Alan Havey in it.
the funny thing is that I did have a little bit to do with.
You did?
Yeah, his audition tape came in. I have really good bosses, which has not been the case on everything I've worked on.
Uh-huh.
And so like I auditioned because it was going to be Greg Daniels and Michael Coleman.
Yeah.
And Greg did The Office. Michael did Nathan For You and early Conan stuff. And Greg's one of the great TV writers, and also he's got a reputation for nurturing these really brilliant comedians into writers. And so Greg and Coleman sort of had written this thing, and it turned out it was a dummy project. It wasn't the real thing, but the sides were brilliant. And we had breakfast, and they were like, "Do you want to come on board as a writer and an actor?" And I was like, "Yeah." I don't think I would have done one without the other.
Yeah.
And one of the other writer performers, this woman Bemisola Ikumelu, who's this British comedian and actor, and she was developing her character. And she took developing her character so seriously. She like went to Toledo and was doing this burnout American accent. And she's a full Brit, and she was meeting with costumes. And her character that she was developing was sort of like a burnout and sort of like too cool for school. And I remember I just had a thought like, what would be the most annoying thing to sit next to if that was you? It'd be me as an 18-year-old. It'd be like a dopey golden retriever who like doesn't know where he's not wanted. And is just so imposing in his like idiocy.
Yeah.
And just like cannot see murder when it's sitting a few feet away from him.
Yeah.
To paraphrase a comic I remember who once said you can't see murder when it's an inch from your face. But like that's what it was. Like I really was like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
To just not be able to.
So you got to develop your character and pitch it as, I think we should use this.
Or it's just
this
like.
guy should be this.
And finally is, I don't remember a ton of discussion. My character is one of the smaller characters on the show because we were spending so much time on Donal's character, as we should, because he's the anchor of the show. And Oscar.
What was he in before this?
He's been in a bunch. He was in Star Wars. He plays Bill Weasley in Harry Potter as one of the, remember in Harry Potter, literally everyone is like some legendary actor.
Yeah.
He's in a show called Frank of Ireland, which he wrote with his brothers. His father is Brendan Gleeson, one of the great actors of our time. And he's also a movie star. He's a star of a movie called About Time, which is a Richard Curtis movie. It's this really beautiful movie about like someone who can travel through time, but there are specific rules, and it asks a really good question, which is, what would you prioritize if you could travel through time? And so his character, he's like a really amazing dramatic actor.
He's really good.
And I remember, by the way, people be like, oh man, is this dramatic actor going to be funny? And the truth is, good acting is good acting. And I learned a lot from watching him. Like he was really, sometimes early in our episodes, because we shot chronologically, I'd be in the scene with him and be like, you're acting, don't be watching. You're acting too.
Right.
Because because he is the anchor of nearly every scene he's in.
Yeah.
And so I was watching him.
And what's such a cool device, other than, different from The Office, is that he's the smartest guy in the room, which wasn't the way that The Office ran when Steve was. And I really kind of just as a writer was like, oh, this is such a brilliant. I love this launch that this guy is smart and he's bringing all of these
dummies with
him, and then a couple that are match him.
Obviously,
but that setup is like, all right, I want to see where he takes these people.
And people ask a lot, obviously, as they should. They ask about The Office, right? Because it's in success of The Office. Oscar Martinez or Oscar Nunez in real life. Yeah, he's from The Office. Is in our show.
Yeah, I love Oscar.
And people, it's so interesting because like the best comparisons feel like they come from people who get that it's like a new show. Yeah. And then people are like, well, it's not Michael Scott. And they're like, well, it's not that show. Yeah. It's not like a reboot. Yeah. It's more of a spin-off, but it's not entirely a spin-off. It's like, it's set in the same universe to make, like you said, to make use of that visual language, which is so funny, which can really be gorgeous when it's married with, like we had a ton of directors who had worked on The Office directing this, which I thought was a really interesting choice. And they brought the aesthetic of The Office because the premise is it's the same documentary crew.
Yeah.
But it's a totally
20
new
years later.
situation because like in real life, why would it be the same situation?
Right.
Where it's like one dumb boss and then another dumb boss pulling. And so like, I also think this is right for the time where like the thing we're trying to say is that like,
Oh, I love it.
it doesn't suck to try.
It doesn't suck to try. I just was jumping on the loss of journalism and print and a guy with a typewriter and this is the press and like that part. I was just
it's such a love letter to like local journalism. But I think the idea of it was like, okay, when we were talking about episode 2, I remember Greg and Coleman were obviously really busy. Show running a show takes a lot of effort. But we were having a chat, and I remember thinking like, oh, this is a show about people making a product about a community for their community and in the process becoming a community themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And given the real world, there was an interesting thing where the real world started to follow art because the actors got better gelling together on screen and off as the show progressed chronologically, which is what would happen actually if you guys were becoming a community.
Yeah, yeah.
So you see them get closer and closer over the course of the season. And even though there's a very light arc, there is an arc, and the gelling of it is kind of the backbone of that arc. So it was like really interesting to be in there as a writer.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
How, are you one of these people that can work on this while thinking my next show for myself is going to be this?
Yeah.
Or do you have to kind of put one down? Where are you at in developing the next thing for yourself?
I mean, I'm doing shows. I'm on tour. I'm doing Carnegie Hall in November, which will be really cool.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll add some, and Carnegie Hall's sold, so we'll add some more New York stuff. And like, I'm still developing the show, but it's in a pretty good spot. Audiences I don't think see the development. The development happens at the Cellar, which is like,
yeah.
But
so
but
the
yeah.
thing that you're going to do at Carnegie is
a new show, new hour.
Does it have
it doesn't have the
a
same
narrative kind of?
It has a little bit of a thrust about like there's a little thrust about I'd be hesitant to say that it's about like Israel and Palestine because it's not, but it's about like watching what's happening and wondering how you best take care of people or what sort of service or perspective you should provide. Like one of my favorite things to do, or I think a thing that I like to do in my stand-up is like talk about really tricky subjects from the most like human level of it without like, I don't really do like takes on a situation because I don't usually feel like I have the right one or like I don't have the one that's like the most articulate or concise, but sometimes I'm like, so so there is an arc that sort of follows that. And I mean, I think that part of the reason I joined up on the paper was because Adam had died. And I had been doing a solo thing for like a year and I needed community and conversation again. And this was such an opportunity to be in community with someone like Donal and Coleman and Daniels and other people. And then like also like you mentioned Alan Havey. Havey's audition tape came in for this boss character. And I think they were, by the way, it's not like I got Alan the job because they were already really, he was already down to like the last few.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, just so you guys know, this is like one of the great stand-ups, period. And also he's a brilliant actor because you see Alan in Mad Men or Man in the High Castle and you're like,
so
God,
good.
he's so you've acted with him before.
Yeah, we were in a movie together.
You were in The Informant.
Yeah.
A Scott C. Burns movie that I fucking love.
Oh, so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And so I'm like, this guy is peerless. And my episode 7, the episode I wrote, revolves almost entirely around the relationship Alan has with Donald.
Oh, nice.
It's about Alan is in nearly every scene.
Yeah.
He's in every scene in the A Story, and he's so good in it.
Yeah.
And so like, but yeah, I want to be back in Community, and like, so my stand-up gets better from those things, and I still do stand-up over the course, but there's sometimes it's not my stand-up waxes and wanes in my life. Sometimes it's like the big rocks in the jar, and sometimes it's the sand that you pour in over the top.
Right,
so,
right.
Right now it's like pebbles, which is good.
Right, that's good. And now you have a little break from the paper for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The break from the paper and focusing on stand-up and other writing.
I'm opening my laptop because I have some important questions for you and also an uncomfortable moment.
I'm like, this is so cool for me.
Being in this new studio?
Yeah. I mean, the people behind the cameras are looking at me weird, but like, I'm a big Tom Papa fan.
I'm a big You fan. I was very excited to make this happen. This shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. I'm in the middle of 700 things
I know,
in 2 days.
I know you are.
And we were like, can we do it? And then this magically appeared.
I
this
really
studio,
appreciate it.
And then you were available in this slot. This happened for a reason. Can we go back to what do you call it? The thing on the thing?
The tefillin? Sure.
Can you tell me what it is?
It's little selections from the Torah that you're commanded to have on your head and on your hand, essentially. And the truth is, the reason it means something to me is because my father does it every morning and my grandfather did it every morning. And so, when I was growing up, like most, kids of any people who are religious at all, my parents, my father and my grandfather were like, you'll come with me to do this thing. And even though my relationship to God's a little more fungible than, my father and grandfather's is, when I put it on, I do feel, my grandfather passed away a couple years ago, and I don't love the word grandfather because you think of like an old person, but he was this like strong, formidable World War II vet who was an engineer in Boston for a long time and could fix anything and had a garage that was a workshop and,
Yeah.
And so sometimes I go to synagogue with him at like 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
And of course, like, and it was a 30-second, like literally like a 2-minute drive to synagogue. But I just remember like dozing in the car in the 2 minutes from my house to the synagogue in the cold leather and the Oldsmobile and, and it was freezing because it was Boston and it's 5 a.m. or something. And I just like, when I put on the tefillin, I feel very connected to the thing that they care about most in the world. And so like, it's supposed to signal a connection with God. And I feel some of that, but mostly it's like a connection with my parents and ancestors and tradition that goes back all the way. But like Jewish men are obligated to wear it, once a day and in the mornings, ideally.
Yeah.
And so
it has writings of the Torah in it?
Yeah, there are little scrolls, 5 little scrolls or 4 little scrolls in there. And there are different selections. And it's there's different letters, a shin, a dalet, and a yud. It spells Shaddai, which is one of the names of God. And so Amy Grant had a big single, a couple of like in the 90s called El Shaddai. And so like weirdly, it's good advertising for Amy Grant. It's got like, it's got the second half.
That's cool. There. I like that. That's beautiful.
You're raised with some religion.
Yeah, I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the rosary is.
I know from the stand-up. Nice stand-up. What, Rach, you got something to say? No, you got something to say?
Have you ever gotten drunk?
Oh, yeah. I
can't tell from... I can't
tell if I'm sober, if I'm a sober man.
Yeah.
My tolerance cratered in the pandemic. And so like, I'm like now, I get like a little tipsy off one thing.
Yeah.
Like I went to Palm Springs with a girlfriend and I had half of one martini and I was like, sweetie, I'm like a little tipsy. And she was like, Well, there's like a lot of shots in there. And she gave me such a look of disdain that I drained the martini, and she's like, we got to go right now. We got to go home like right now. We got to get back to the hotel. And I was drunk before we got to the car. And like she had left her phone at some restaurant, so we had to stop there on the way. And she says that she left me in the car, and then I was just out on the sidewalk, just like she parked the car and she's like, don't move. One martini. Maybe it was like 1.5, but I think it was one. And like, she came out and she was like, Lexi, Alexander David Edelman, like she got more and more formal with me. When I was in my 20s, I had a couple of like my friend Ross McDonald, who's a musician, we used to really get after it some nights. And like, yeah, I used to be able to keep pace pretty well, but now
you're retired.
I'm a lightweight. It's such a shame.
No, it's not. That's good.
I'm also one of those sickos who enjoys the taste of alcohol, but not the effects of it. Like I love the taste of an old fashioned or a well-crafted, like, Negroni or a Paloma. And like, I like the bite of alcohol, but, or like a Centauri highball. Yeah. And like, but I just can't be drunk.
Right.
Like, it just makes me like the next day I'm slower. It sucks.
If you buy pants and they don't fit, or any clothes and they don't fit, do you keep them in anticipation that they will fit one day, or do you get rid of them?
I get them altered.
You do.
I will alter them.
You go into action.
But I also one of those guys that wears things until they're falling apart. Like, I've had partners who hold up jeans and are like, sweetie, it's time. Like an old dog that's in pain.
Yeah.
They'll be like, it's time. We got to put this t-shirt down. And I'm like, but I wore that at my bar mitzvah. They're like, it's time. You gotta get the hell out of it. Like, it's over. It's over, buddy. It's such a shame.
You don't look like someone that goes camping, but
I go camping.
Do you go camping?
I'm an outdoors person that you would not believe.
Really?
I love a hike.
Not afraid of bugs?
Oh, I'm afraid of bugs.
I see you having a problem with bugs.
I don't love bugs, but I love a hike. I did a pilgrimage called the Kumano Kodo a couple of months ago, which is this like 2-week walk in Japan.
Whoa.
And like, you're not camping, but you're in these little like places where you sleep on a futon on the floor.
Oh.
And it doesn't feel gross. It just feels like different. And so like, I like it. I do go, it's been a while since I went camping. It was 10 days straight with stuff on either side, but yeah, it was awesome. It was fantastic.
Wow, that's great.
One of the great experiences in my life. My friend Adam Met, who's like a little more woo-woo than me, says it fundamentally changed me. It like grounded me and made me a little calm. That'll go away in a couple of weeks, I'm sure. But
yeah, of course.
But like, yeah, I love to get out there and hike and camp and all that stuff.
I used to do that with a friend of mine from college, and we would go every year to a national park and go for 2 weeks in the backcountry.
Why don't more people talk about the national parks? I'm serious. It's like one of the best. It's one of the best things America's got going.
I know.
There's that monologue
and they're under attack.
There's that yes, crazy.
I know.
There's that monologue that that Jeff Daniels' character gives in the newsroom in the pilot, where someone's like, "Why is America the greatest country in the world?" And he goes, "It's not, okay, it's not." And he's like, we ranked 5th in this, and 30th in this, and 28th in this. He's like, we lead the world in most incarcerated males and most people that believe in angels. So when you say America's the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite, and like, I remember watching the monologue, being like, right on. But then I went to Yosemite and I'm like, this might be enough to make us the greatest country in the world.
Absolutely.
It is so good.
So moving.
Zion, you ever been to Zion?
No. In Utah?
Tom, it is there's a hike there called the Narrows where you hike in water.
Oh boy.
Like water, it's rushing water. It goes up to your knees. You need a walking stick or you'll be ass over tea kettle and wet for most of it. But like, it's in this giant slot canyon. Walls go up hundreds of feet on either side of you. And sometimes it'll be 98 degrees outside and you're in the shade and it's in the 60s or the 50s because you're so deep down.
Wow.
But like, there's something otherworldly, cinematic. It is like, I love the
Gorgeous.
national parks. They're so incredible.
They're so incredible and so moving.
Do you have favorites?
The idea that anyone would, the Tetons.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Hiking behind the Tetons.
Sure.
You have that view from
The front.
The
Yeah,
front.
of course.
But then we went and slept in the summer and it was snowing on us behind the Tetons.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Just amazing.
And you're right. The idea that someone would come for it.
To come for it and do anything to those lands is just terrifying.
And those rangers are. I'm pretty good friends with this
Oh.
with this guy Christian, who's a ranger at Joshua Tree, and I mean, like, and they know so much, and there's such a wealth of like enthusiasm and knowledge. And by the way, millions of Americans take vacations to the national parks every single year. They make money. They're a thing that the government does that makes money, which is crazy.
And the people that work there love it so much.
They're obsessed. They've picked this job.
They're real patriots. That's what a real patriot
They
is.
totally are. And like the outdoorsy bits of these national parks are like, people find, and not just national parks, state parks. There's a crater called Crater of Diamonds, I think in Arkansas, where like a woman from New Jersey or something went to find her own engagement ring diamond.
Right.
You can dig for diamonds in this park. It's a $14 a day
I
fee.
heard
And she found her own engagement ring. And there's something that's like the fact that avenue, I mean, you and I are a little busy, and I know you if you went hunting for an engagement ring, your wife would be like, "What are you doing?" But like, but like the fact that you can do that in the States, there's something really amazing about that.
It's amazing. I mean, in a time when we all desperately want to find stuff that unifies us, just go to a park and go look at that. Just go look at the big dome and tell me that you're not equally going to be
hiking behind the Tetons, like Bryce, which is an hour away from Zion, with these hoodoos, which are these sort of twisty like I will remember every national park I've been to for the rest of my life. Like, it's astounding.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing. Well, that's great. But what bug don't you like?
Why do they have to be so crawly? Why do they be so crawly and stingy? I don't want to get bit by a thing I can't see. I want to get bit by a bobcat.
Yes,
I'm not putting that out into the universe.
Something you can see coming.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
All right, we do a thing on this program called an uncomfortable moment, and it's just an area that might be uncomfortable for one of us or both of us. And you have, I grew up in northern New Jersey. Our school, there was a big Jewish community. So I was very in a lot of Jewish homes, and they took me in for Seder, and I was like, oh, you're Italian. I get it. Yeah, I get how this all works. So I've always had an affinity for the Jewish people.
Sure.
This is a project that I'm thinking about, maybe, because you're on Broadway and maybe I want to be on Broadway one day. My question is this cultural appropriation if I were to play Tevye in
First of
Fiddler
all,
on the
why
Roof?
do you look like Seth Rogen in this picture?
What do you
The
mean?
question is, you look like Seth Rogen in this picture. You look fantastic, but you look like Seth Rogen. It's very like with the hat and
I
the
love
hair.
Seth.
Am I wrong entirely? He looks a little like Seth Rogen.
A little? Which is
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
I think you should. Is it cultural appropriation? No.
Am I allowed to be?
I think you are. I don't think of Fiddler on the Roof. I'm going to get heat for this,
Okay.
but it's an uncomfortable moment, so I'm happy to.
Good.
I don't think of Fiddler on the Roof as an exclusively Jewish show. I
Oh.
think I'm happy to. They do it in Japan. Like, let them have it. It's a universal story.
Okay.
The movie's directed by Norman Jewison, who's not a Jew. He's got Jew in the name, and he's not Jewish. I think. By the way, like, obviously, there is an issue where some Jewish characters don't go to Jewish actors. A big problem, but I have never. I think there are sometimes it just seems like. Right? Like Paul Dano reminded Steven Spielberg of his dad, and Michelle Williams. Like, I used to go to Steven Spielberg's mom's restaurant in LA. She owned a kosher restaurant, and I was keeping strictly kosher at the time.
Yeah.
Michelle Williams looks exactly like Steven Spielberg's mom. Like, when I saw her on screen, my mouth dropped open. I was like, that's Leah Adler. Like, that is Steven's mom.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's crazy. So I'm not the authority on this.
Okay.
I will say that if you play Tevye, I'll buy a ticket. My bigger question is, can you sing?
No.
Well, that's fucking offensive then.
I'll take some lessons.
Fine, take some lessons.
You know.
But yeah, I'd love to see if Al Pacino can play Shylock to great acclaim.
Right.
You can play a little Tevye. All right.
All right.
I think that's all right.
Yentl?
Listen, Barbara, you don't fuck with Barbara, all right? Don't fuck with Barbara.
Stay away. I don't care.
You stay away from Barbara. Have you met Barbara?
Never.
I have never met Barbara.
Never.
I've not even
I don't even
close.
know where you'd go to meet her. Maybe
Malibu Country Market
Hamptons
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, where would you go
Where
to
would
meet
you
Barbara?
find Barbara? I don't know.
I'm asking you guys. Where would you go to? I think she is as her and Spielberg to me are like the uncomfortable analogy here, but they're the twin towers of Judaism to me. Like they're fantastic. Like
How
to be alive at the same time as them and Mel Brooks, like
Yeah.
and Jerry, like we've got a pretty decent Mount Rushmore.
No, a huge Mount Rushmore. I mean, come on.
It's crazy.
How you feel about the temperature of the times right now being Jewish?
Tough.
Where do you feel like how hot is this heat?
It's bad. I was always an anti-Semitism minimalist.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was always one of those guys whenever anyone's like, there's a swastika in the New York Times crossword puzzle. I'm like, there's not a swastika in the New York. You ever see, you know how hard it is to make crosswords? Like every crossword puzzle should be a swastika. It makes it easy. The boxes go this way. It's so dumb. But like,
corners.
but I think it's a tricky time. I think also I was raised with a very like, I say a thing in my special that like Judaism is a mailing list you can never unsubscribe from.
Mm-hmm.
So like, even if Jews are like, if a Jew is like, every Jew should be, herded up and shuttled into camps, that person's still a Jew. Like the person who says it is still a Jew. And like, they're in your community and you have to reckon with them. And so like, the thing that troubles me beyond the horrific deepening crisis in Israel and Palestine, which is its own thing, is the deep divisions that it's riven into the Jewish community and how unpassable those things seem. And I think if it's ever going to be addressed or fixed, or you're ever going to bring change to the situation that's actually happening there, you need to have those conversations. And the fact of the matter is, I think that those conversations seem more and more difficult to have. So not only is it that there's a lot of anti-Semitism towards Jews of all political persuasions, it's also really hard for Jews to talk to each other. And people get tagged with like, with their political beliefs, or they get tagged with how they feel about the situation in Palestine and Israel. And it feels, I have never found it so hard to have productive conversations my entire life. And so that's really, really tough for me.
It's crazy that that's tough for you, that within the Jewish community, and then the national discourse in the U.S. is the same thing. So you've got two fractures.
Forget about it. It's also like, part of the reason my special did well, I think, was that there was a deep conversation and consideration of what we owe the people who do not see us as human.
Yeah.
As human. Like it's me going to this meeting of white nationalists in Queens. They don't care for me as a Jew. And how much consideration do I owe them? That is the question.
Yeah.
That is at the core of the special.
Yeah.
And so the idea was that it was like this radically, this act of like radical empathy. And like, given what just and like, you're free to cut this out if it's too much or something, but like, given what's gone on with Charlie Kirk, I feel that those notions have really been challenged. And even within myself, some of those notions have been really challenged. And like,
what notions?
Of how empathetic of what empathy we owe, with heavy air quotes around these words, the other side.
Right.
And what empathy we're owed from from the other side.
Mhm.
Like watching people, you know, watching people make referendums on whether or not it's like a good thing if Charlie Kirk was killed, or making referendums on people's speech around it, or making referendums on how much celebration of his life there needs to be. The fact that conversation feels really, really dangerous and really, really fraught with stakes,
Mhm.
I think is not a good thing.
Yeah.
I think like
Well, it shows what the temperature is out there.
I've lost a lot of respect for a lot of people, but also like sometimes I question my own positions on how I feel about it, and I worry that like we're not in a moment where people can change their mind easily, and that feels really dangerous to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think as those things harden, it makes discourse a lot harder, and when discourse gets and like action follows discourse, so like when people get really stubborn and stick to their guns and can't have conversations with people who feel differently from them, and try to get them fired, or insist that the other side is the sole party in terms of political violence or something, like it's just it feels like a really bad place to be in.
Yeah, and it's been awful in the extreme on all sides. It's been just so horrible. I saw this great line when, we still are all one country. And they were saying that we have to return to a time when you look at the other side as someone who could be persuaded, not someone who needs to be destroyed. And that really, to me, really resonated, because we are all in the same family. We all, if any part of us loses, we all lose. So you have to just nudge and kind of meet in different little places that are going to rise us all up. The idea that you can destroy half and be successful yourself just doesn't exist.
It's a really, I don't remember, besides like Teutonic events like 9/11 or, which I was a child for.
Mm-hmm.
There were days this month where I just woke up and felt bad.
Yeah.
And it was just like the atmosphere that we're living in, where it's like, and also like
discord.
The discord, and I'm not kidding. I have friends who are of every political stripe, and one of them said to me like, well, asking to empathize, it's usually people in positions of power who are asking other folks to empathize with them, and like, that was something to consider too. And like, I just feel exhausted from not having certainty. Like, I was raised in Judaism. You are raised with such discourse. Mm-hmm. There's so much discourse in Judaism, and you listen to every position, and sometimes they don't even tell you which one is right.
Right.
Most of the time, they don't tell you which one is right. They're like, here are all the positions. Mm-hmm. You're free to pick one, or you're free to think whatever you think, but here are all the different ways you can read a thing.
Yeah.
And so like, sometimes I meet people who have certainty, and I'm like, I envy your moral clarity to a degree that like I change my mind all the time.
Yeah, I know.
I change my mind. It's so exhausting
I know.
to be a person that changes their mind.
I know, exactly.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, well, this can't continue. I was with you until now, but it can't keep going. Like, it's as a Jew, I'm really scared.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as a Jew, I found a lot of comfort in other Jews who are like having discourse, and like ultimately, though, I'm an optimist. Like, I think it's going to work out.
You gotta have hope.
I have this thing in me that's
you need hope.
Sickening, where I'm like, I truly am an optimist. Like, I really feel like great solutions have always been preceded by great problems, like Salk curing polio last week. Like, it's really great. But like, but that's like, there is something to, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I hope so. You have to have hope.
Yeah.
This was fantastic.
This is great. Thank you so much for having, and also like, I'm sure we went long, and I'm sure we don't have time for this, but like truly, like you've always been one of my favorite stand-ups, and it's because you're one of those really rare comics where like you don't waste time up there, and your writing and performing are both like really, really peerless, and it's really professional without ever being boring. It's like there's so much momentum to your stuff, and like. And I remember as a young person doing a thing when you're that I still do sometimes when you're at the Cellar, which is like I stand in the back and watch. Like your writing is such a sense of authorship, and so like I think I had really good role models when I was starting, and you were one of them and are one, and so I'm really psyched to get to be on your podcast.
Thank you, because I didn't think we had a clip until now. Now I think we have something for social media.
Great,
but great. Also, and you know, it was when I was getting ready to come sit down with you. You know, I didn't want to come off as like the old man, but watching you from this kid who just showed up and just wanted to poke around and be at the Cellar, and to see what you're achieving and how you've just grown as a person and an artist has been really, I hesitate to say I'm proud of you, because I'm not your dad, but I am proud of you.
That's really nice.
It's really nice to watch.
And I always wonder if comics like, I remember when Seinfeld was sitting there, so you try to stay present, but it was so hard to stay present, but I was doing it. But I had this thought like about 40, just before 45 minutes into the show,
yeah,
where I was like, oh, fuck. I wonder if he can see himself.
Right.
Like, I wonder if he can see his fingerprints.
Yeah.
Or I wonder if, like, you know, I got a nice note from Aaron Sorkin about the paper, which was really nice. And he, you know, and I think he's watched some of my stand-up. And I remember thinking, like, I wonder if Sorkin can see his own fingerprints.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, I wonder if people, when they watch me, like, if like Maria Bamford or Sarah Silverman or even, like, there's a guy I used to, like, a guy I love in the UK named Stuart Lee. Like, these British comics, Daniel Kitson, Josie Long. I sometimes wonder if when they're watching me, they can see the little bits of, like, themselves in it. So, you know.
It's great. That's the beauty of this whole ride.
All right. We got to end.
That was really great.
I appreciate it. Start to explode.
All right. We got it.
This is so cool.
Very cool.
Do you think you guys have clips?